Jeff, if you want to just give us kind of an overview of how the day went, how the arguments went.
You know, any time that I get to go to the Supreme Court and get to hear, oral argument on, what could be a landmark case. I mean, win or lose because of the issues that the court was presented with today. But, I come out of it and I think my first thought is I'm encouraged. Quite frankly, I think I was going into it, I was a little bit pessimistic that, it looked as if, the other side was gaining momentum and our arguments weren't being heard. I felt like after sitting through, almost 2.5 hours of arguments today, I think our side's positions were put before the justices. And perhaps even more importantly, I think the justices were listening. I mean, there are just a couple key things that kind of I take away from it. First, Justice Kennedy. He starts very early in the argument and really questioning the other side about, the fact that marriage has existed, as he said, for millennia. And so I think that's a good starting point because, I mean, most court watchers think Justice Kennedy is the key to this court case. And to hear him really questioning, what is the role of 9 unelected judges in redefining states' marriage laws, and the fact that he's asking those questions, that's really good. The second thing that encourages me is the justices seem to be focused on, okay, what are the consequences if the Supreme Court judicially imposes a redefinition of marriage on America? What are the consequences? Several of the justices pointed out that consequences could be religious liberty. One of the justices pointed out that, in fact, does this mean now that pastors are going to have to marry same-sex people and won't be able to object to it? I mean, obviously, that's something that we've been talking about, something that Texas Values has been working on with Liberty Institute and making sure that we have those protections, but that actually was talked about today at the Supreme Court. In addition, Justice Alito brought up, what about tax status for religious schools? What about religious schools? Do they have to have housing that violates, that provides same-sex housing and would violate their religious beliefs? And then really one of the serious things about the religious liberty that came up during was Justice Alito asked the Solicitor General of the United States about a case involving Bob Jones University that dealt with race discrimination. And he asked the Solicitor General whether or not that the Bob Jones precedent, which says Bob Jones and others can't discriminate on the basis of race if they're going to receive federal funding. He said, well, what about, would that now apply if the court redefines marriage? Would that apply to religious ministries and religious colleges? And the Solicitor General, what he said is, that's an issue that we're going to have to see about, indicating to me, yes, that's where we're headed. So, again, I think the good in this is, I'm hopeful because I think Justice Kennedy appears to be willing to listen and think through the seriousness of the issue. And hopefully, the result will be that this issue will go back to the states where it belongs and to work through the democratic process. And at the same time, we can concentrate on protecting our religious liberty rights.
What are some takeaways that you feel like could be used in some of the battles that we're fighting in Texas right now?
Yeah. I think what's important for this case for Texans and for the battles that we're having currently in the legislature are, again, it emphasizes the importance of religious liberty. It emphasizes the importance of having in state law protections protecting the religious liberty rights of pastors, the religious liberty rights of adoption and foster care providers, the importance of our state Religious Freedom Restoration Act. All those, whether the court rules and redefines marriage or it doesn't, they become very, very important.